Good evening and welcome to Fun Friday at America's Third Party. I'm David John Sponheim, running for president in 2016. We are in the midst of some interesting stories tonight. We are processing peak oil information. Peak oil information is coming out of Australia. That's right. They've just discovered a $20 trillion supply of oil. That's right, $20 trillion. The amount of oil in Australia is in the Coober Pedy area, has between 3.5 billion and to 233 billion barrels of oil. South Australia is sitting on oil potentially worth more than $20 trillion, folks. That's something we can't forget about. So if you're worried about peak oil and the possibility of the world running out of oil, I'm going to ask you a question. And you can ask anybody who is a extreme environmentalist who's concerned about global warming as being a huge problem and concerned about oil disappearing. Ask them why or how come we have found oil below the ocean at 10,000 feet underground. Could you explain to me how a dinosaur got down there and laid down and became kind of all dendrified and turned into an oil slick over time? 10,000 feet below the ocean floor, they're finding oil. So I argue, and this may be controversial, but maybe not, I argue that oil is a renewable resource. Hear me out. We've got a veritable pressure cooker going on in the earth. The magma, all of the inside of the core of the earth, there's heat going on. There's all kinds of heat. And we know carbon is a natural element occurring everywhere. So of course when you heat up lots of carbon, it's going to create liquid carbon, ergo oil. So we have the potential of a renewable resource here in oil. The real question that I think a lot of environmentalists are concerned about is its effect on our environment and the heating of the atmosphere with all the fossil fuel burning. Obviously, there are contributing factors behind greenhouse gas emissions. No question about it. There's scientific evidence that does validate that. But there's also valid information suggesting that we're entering the global galactic alignment with the Milky Way, and that's changing, and that repeated pattern creates an ice age. So isn't it ironic that we may very well be facing a potential ice age and we're heating up the planet at the same time? I mean, this is all very strange. Processing it is equally strange. But what's really interesting is someone in the chat room earlier said that they create a false sense of shortages of oil so that they can jack the prices up, David. And you're absolutely right. You see, they're creating scarcity. Much like the diamond industry, you think that De Beers Diamonds has this incredible control over a very finite amount of diamonds. Actually, De Beers Diamonds ran an ad campaign way back in the 60s that a diamond is a girl's best friend. They've been promoting the scarcity of diamonds when in fact De Beers Diamonds bought all kinds of land and control land that has diamonds on it. Apparently diamonds are plentiful in the Earth's crust. Similarly, oil is plentiful in the Earth's crust. We just need to manage it better and make sure we can loop the carbon. I believe in the possibility of clean coal technology. I believe it's coming. The Future Gen project is something that we could all look forward to, and it would be great, be wonderful. But there are issues that just don't make a lot of sense. For instance, why is it we haven't legalized marijuana? Okay, take this for instance. Look at the statistics right in front of you. Annually, every year, 400,000 people die of smoking tobacco. Now, I'm not talking wacky tobacco. I'm talking tobacco. Similarly, more people die of alcohol, even people dying of aspirin and caffeine overdoses, but nobody has died of marijuana induction. And I know that there was a rumor that Chum Lee from Pawn Stars actually died. I think he's still alive. So no one's died of an overdose of marijuana, yet we continue to not legalize it. And today there was a massive bust in Seattle area. Let me show you what that's all about. I'm going to bring up a screen region for you and bring down the picture of that. By the way, you're looking at our interactive chat, folks. We've got BattleCam on one side and Vaughn chat on another. We do this every day. We chat real time, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. for our regular show, Pacific time. You can see that, access it from our main website, americasthirdparty.com. And if you're watching this in archive, you probably see it going on, after the fact. Well, let's take a look beyond that. Let's take a look at the police raiding a lot of marijuana locations. There's a place, a dispensary, right there in Seattle. Raided marijuana dispensaries had been targeted before. They've been targeted again. This one's called Tacoma Cross over there in Seattle area. Seattle, the 4 marijuana dispensaries raided by federal authorities in Washington state this week were all targets of previous federal raids. The DEA has provided little information about the 4 searches conducted Wednesday, but an employee at Bayside Collective told the Associated Press she was informed by agents that the raids were part of a 2-year investigation. Okay. Well, it's interesting to see how Barack Obama has made it his lowest priority not, which is very strange. Here's a guy who openly admitted to smoking crack at Occidental when he wrote the book Audacity of Hope. He talked about his crack addiction at the time that he was at Occidental College. Similarly, he talked about smoking marijuana, that he'd done it, but he doesn't want to legalize it. Remember that one and only town hall meeting he had back at the early part of his 2008 presidency, his failed presidency? He had an online town hall meeting where the number one question among young people was, will legalization help the economy? And of course he responded, make no mistake about it. Clearly, legalization is not going to help our economy. I hold my hand up here to avoid spitting on myself. But no, seriously, where's my teleprompter? The guy has completely been a hypocrite, and I repeat, Obama is a hypocrite on the subject of legalization of marijuana. All right? This is serious. We, at America's Third Party, are pro-legalization, okay? We strongly believe that it'll create hempoline, which is a very potential valuable biofuel that will lower the cost of our diesel if we integrate it in and create a green diesel formula as an alternative for truckers that want to pay a little less, for instance, at the truck stops. It does have an effect on the truck's engine. It makes it run better. It cleans all of the carbon deposits in the engines of these diesel trucks. So as a result of that, when we legalize marijuana and create hempoline and integrate it into our diesel supplies, our truckers will be driving on fuel that'll cost $1 or $2 less than they currently pay. And they'll be given 3 refills, vouchers if you will, for filter changes. So that when their filter clogs up because all the carbon's coming off the bad diesel and the good hempoline's being used, we'll give them a voucher for a diesel replacement on their filters. Their filters are probably the only thing that will clog. After three filter changes, everything will run great, and they'll save a lot of money down the road. Okay, this is a concept that you'd think would be really important. That is important. That's another reason to legalize marijuana. Here's another reason. The government has created a study, apparently a patent has been filed, where cannabinoids are essentially given patentable status as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. Now you're looking at cannabinoids here. These are the things that are supposedly really good for people as an antioxidant and helpful for neurons. A study done in Madrid, Spain, 2007, showed that people smoking marijuana actually had a reduced case of brain tumor growth in their brains that were ridden with tumors. So this is really interesting and positive. There are medicinal effects. Let's go back to the chat and see what you guys say. Vorpalbite says legalize pot and welfare feeders will triple. So that's our right-wing conservative over there in one room. And I don't grow marijuana. There's a national law saying you can't. So of course I don't grow it. But I have smoked marijuana in the past, and I can tell you I enjoyed it. It gave me a good, relaxing feeling. It was kind of like self-medicine, if you will. It made me feel calm and collected. Why do you like it, Scott? You know, you tell us why you like it. Okay, good. Now, Vorpalbite, if you legalize pot and welfare feeders will triple, is there a bad thing about people growing marijuana in their backyard and making money on it, selling it locally? Because we could theoretically get a 25% sales tax off of the sale of marijuana. States like California, they estimate they'd have $1 billion in revenue from the sale of it. So is that such a bad thing that welfare victims or feeders or whatever you want to call them, because I know you have a negative view on welfare recipients, is it such a bad thing that maybe they might make some money? Would you be jealous of them that maybe they're making money and you're not, Vorpalbite? Yeah. Now, Drunk Sex podcast says pot is illegal for a reason. It's a gateway drug and ruins lives. Boy, might as well listen to Nancy Reagan. Just say no. Well, maybe you might continue with that plan. I don't recommend anyone should smoke marijuana, especially if they're under the age of 21. I think it could be very dangerous, to your lungs. They haven't formed yet. But is it a gateway drug? Well, I can tell you, I'm not doing coke or crack. It wasn't a gateway drug for me. You know what's more of a gateway drug? Is drugs that are legal. Yeah, like the drug called cigarettes. Yeah, people smoke cigarettes. What do you think they do with cigarettes? They put cocaine at the end of it and smoke the cocaine through the cigarette. And you're telling me marijuana is a gateway drug? I'm Not President says, LOL, gateway drug. Yeah. Scott, you're doing coke right now. Yeah, see? Let me ask you, was it a gateway drug for you to smoke marijuana, or was it the cigarettes that made you eventually become a coke addict? You tell me. All right, Tiger Bunny, stop smoking crack. Good point. Yep. Tiger Bunny says use of cannabis is consistently associated with mental illness, in particularly psychotic disorder. Wrong. Incorrect. Now, he cites a cannabis study about the risk and persistence of psychotic symptoms, 10-year follow-up cohort study, British Medical Journal, March 1st, 2011. Right. But you will read the fine print, Tiger Bunny, over at Battle Camp. Read the fine print. That actually was a study that found out that marijuana creates what is called acute schizophrenic symptomology. Acute schizophrenia. You know, that's like saying, dude, it's going to make you paranoid, man. You know? It's temporary. It's not chronic schizophrenia. Read the small print. It doesn't turn people into mental patients. If you've got a predisposition to be a psycho, yes, you can become a psycho smoking anything. Even cigarettes, you could say that. But no, it does not create a long-term chronic schizophrenic reaction. And there's no scientific study that can verify that it creates chronic schizophrenia. Thank you. And might I add, too, that psychologists and psychiatrists have not cured psychosis. Okay, here's an entire field. Let me pull down the chat. You guys are reading it in real time. There's an entire field created that psychiatry that simply deals with the symptoms of psychosis, not the solution to the cause of psychosis. They've never cured psychosis. Now, there are some neurosurgeons that say, we can extract the portion of the brain that triggers the psychotic reaction. Or they could be like Sigmund Freud. Yeah, we create the environment for improvement in your behavior pattern. Possibly, why am I touching my beard, obviously. That guy died of coke addiction. He ended up getting cancer of the larynx from doing too much coke. And, seriously, psychosis has never been cured. Thank you. Moving on. And thank you for your BS studies that you've done to target marijuana users. Okay, there are people that use that basically are coming back from the war and that are suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And they're telling me, and many people are saying this out there in the blogosphere, that PTSD is veritably reduced to a low level when people smoke a little doobie, a blunt, if you will. And that's a big thing that a lot of you have to realize, that it's helping people. Okay, Scott, we're going to help people with all the people who suffer from PTSD with marijuana legalization. So, as president of this nation in 2017, I will be legalizing marijuana. It's the first thing I will do. All right? Okay, well, you're complaining about welfare rolls, Vorpalbite, and you're complaining, and I'm trying to tell you, why don't they grow some pot and make some money, and they wouldn't be such a big drain on the welfare budget, and you continually miss my point. Typical right-wing Republican. They won't listen to logic. There's something about the vernal cortex of the right-wing Republican's brain. Garofalo actually talked about that. She, a famous actress who was in 24. Anyway, moving on. I digress. We have a couple things we'd like to talk to you about tonight. The Edward Snowden situation is still very real. Edward Snowden, hacker, fugitive, former NSA contractor, and high school dropout, has actually made a few statements. Let's bring this up for you to look at. This is coming from an article Edward Snowden cataclysmic event imminent? Apparently, he revealed Tuesday that a series of solar flares is set to occur in September, killing hundreds of millions of people. Whoa. Okay, documents provided by Snowden prove that as of 14 years ago, CIA remote viewers knew that the event was inevitable. Okay. Ever since the world's government have been quietly trying to prepare for the sweeping global famine to result. Okay, I'm not going to laughing at this because this is a pretty serious story if it's real. It's coming from alien-disclosure-group.com. Okay. All right, so if a lot of you believe that Edward Snowden is predicting a massive solar flare, you know something like that could trigger an EMP type event, electromagnetic pulse event. Well, it happened a long, long time ago. The sun had a solar flare, and it could have easily taken out all of our electronics had we had them. In 1853, I'm not citing sources right now, Scott. You look it up. Google the subject. Thank you. I'll give you the source. Here's the source. It's important to give a link. I know. Here's the link. David, your hair looks great. Thank you. Last night I had a bad hair day. And it pretty much, everyone in the room made me aware that, David, your hair looks terrible. And I said, well, you know, this is really important because obviously we're dealing with superficial people who have no idea how serious the world's problems are. So yeah, let's talk about my hair. Okay, that's not working. I'm going to post the link over in BattleCam. No, it's not working there either. Okay, I'm not going to post the link. You look it up. Okay, moving on. EPA reaffirms fracking does not contaminate drinking sources. This came up in the room, folks. Let me pull the banner to legalize marijuana, which would obviously help reduce our need for oil. Yeah, we'll pull that off. Bring back America's Third Party. We are in the midst of a recording, folks, so you are listening to the Fun Friday broadcast. And if you're watching it on the weekend and wondering, what's this all about? Alfie. What's it all about, Alfie? I'm doing song retros tonight, just kind of to trigger my mind and think new thoughts. Well, this is about creating a political party that will challenge the two-party system. This isn't about wild and crazy ideas. We've got the EPA right now claiming that fracking does not contaminate drinking water sources. Okay? What kind of an environmental protection agency comes up with these reports that have been bunked and debunked and bunked again and can't consistently protect the people and their water supply? You guys have probably heard of the famous viral video Gasland, where a guy literally lights fire to his faucet and there's a massive explosion under his faucet. You've probably seen that, right? Well, if you haven't, look it up. Okay, what we need to figure out, essentially, thank you, is, first of all, how to ban that person who just came in here. Thank you. We get attacked every night, folks, and if you're one of those people that, I'm not Blaze Scott, I haven't smoked marijuana in a long, long time. Don't think that I do this regularly. It's not a habitual thing. Whenever I'm around friends, I engage, you know. Sure, they hand me a joint, and yeah, I'll smoke it with friends. I live in a recreational use state, dude. Get off my back, and you're the guy that hit the crack pipe, so what's your problem? I don't do coke, I don't smoke crack. Unlike Obama, I'm a guy who simply tried some marijuana. Okay, there you go. Let's take a look at the EPA reaffirming this. This story is good. After a 16-month investigation, yeah, right, of cover-ups, I'm sure, state regulators Monday said that natural gas fracking, contrary to highly publicized claim, is not to blame for high methane levels in 3 families drinking water in northern Pennsylvania. All right, let's look at the science behind that. The EPA has made it much more difficult to argue that the fracking boom is accelerating climate change as well. Basically, the EPA is working against the American people. Hanging out in your tinychat.com. Hanging out in your room, yeah. Okay, we're having some fun now. Say it. Say it on, I'm just going to say it. Local recording, that's right. Third party. In progress. So if you think that the EPA is doing their job, good for you. You're probably one of the few. I would like to downsize all the departments in America. I want to shrink government, okay? That's not something that's too difficult to understand. Is it shrinking government? Can you understand how things shrink? We all know how things get bigger. The New Deal and FDR made welfare a thing of the future. We're going to see welfare going on for a long time. We can't just cut people off. Unlike what Mitt Romney thought, that he could just ignore 47% of the population, it's not going to work. They vote too, Mitt. You didn't know that? Yeah. I'm not losing my connection. I'm right here with the people. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I believe that legalization will help the third-party movement. This is the reason. The third-party movement essentially is all about brand new ideas. It's about welcoming questions. Obama is an installation. Tiger Bunny is convinced of that. Thank you, Battle Camera. I believe Obama was an installation. He was the puppet that they decided was the guy who was going to carry out all their deeds, their misdeeds. They want to control the American people. So at America's Third Party, we don't want the NSA listening in on all your conversations without some sort of intermediary, a check and balance, if you will. So I'm proposing an ombudsman that would be supported and appointed by Congress or by the Committee on National Security. Use this group to watch and make sure that all the FISA judges' warrants are in place whenever the NSA does this. The NSA just can't go in willy-nilly and watch everything we're doing. But according to the Republicans and the Democrats, it's okay. You see, this is another way. A third party is a much better solution to our future. We will not allow the NSA to breathe down your back. We will not allow the NSA to deny you your freedoms, especially your right to privacy. And I don't support the use of commercial or government drones within our nation. I can see using them as border patrol agents up in the air or on the ground. But sending in drones to look at your private life, that's ridiculous. So clearly we got to do something with that. Yet a third reason why a third party would be better than the two parties. The list goes on and on. Let me go on with the list. We want to get out of wars. We want to prevent wars. We are non-interventionists. We don't want to send more troops into the Middle East. I've even promised to the American people that I will not increase troop strength in the Middle East. At best, we will decrease troop strength in the Middle East. We will maintain the advantage using air power, which is something neither Obama or Bush utilized properly. And let me repeat, the F-22s, all 187 of them that we have within our military abilities, we have never used F-22 Raptors in battle. We've never even used them in Iraq or Afghanistan. So clearly we have to fix that. Not sure how you got unbanned, Sarah Fan, but I'm going to keep you over there at Tiny Chat. I want to remind everybody, too, that we integrate our show in with a daily chat, which anybody can get into, and bring their video signal up, and we can actually show you the video signal. There's an example of one of the people that's watching our show right now, which we have him almost every night. You become a fixture in our room since you found out about my apparent concern about illegal immigrants. Now, this is a hit point where you can definitely beat the two-party system. We don't support a wide open border like the two-party system does. We actually support a controlled border and a 1,000-mile border fence. And we don't want to give illegal aliens and legal immigrants all this free money. We've got a guy named Edward. He's currently homeless, and he comes in our show, and we feature him on occasion. We do talk to various people through our tinychat.com/third-party venue.
This is Rodney.
Yeah, no, this is...
How's it going, Dave?
It's going great.
This is Rodney.
Yeah, well, you don't need to be that person. All right. It's bad enough I've got a stalker, and then you come on the show talking like the stalker.
On chat.
What's that? You reading the chat? Yeah, we're reading it too. Yeah. Everyone's not going to report you, man. Don't worry. It's just people having fun. But that's the thing. We do talk about various things that we have integration with our show. But at the same time, I have a headset and I can listen to him separately. But you don't have to listen to everything everyone says. And we especially don't have to pay any tribute to some of the stalkers that have made a permanent fixture in our room, obviously. This is a dynamic show. We're going to be bringing on multiple different topics and multiple stories on a daily basis. I don't want to bore you folks who are watching this in archive, but there's other reasons. Aside from getting out of wars, protecting our borders, bringing our troops home, legalizing marijuana, we also, unlike the Republicans and Democrats, we have a plan to actually create jobs. What a concept. We have a very simple plan to create jobs and fix the housing crisis at the same time, and that is our Homestead Renewal Plan. Our Homestead Renewal Plan is perhaps the strongest idea we've got. It's something that you can tell your friends and family about. We want to fix up old houses, renovate them, and create shovel-ready jobs at the same time. This is the plan that Tim Geithner, the former Secretary of the Treasury, was talking about our country needing 3 years ago. We should have done that. We didn't do that. So we can still do this in 2017. We can fix as many houses as we can. The government can then flip the houses. People who've never owned a house will be able to own a house within 10 years for under $500 a month payments. Isn't this a great idea? Anyway, so we've got a lot of issues that we clearly are not part of the two-party conspiracy against this nation. We will not let the oil and the coal companies dominate policy in America. We will not give them a free rein over your gas prices. We'll get more transparency in the oil futures market and make sure, and scientists and experts in the oil business have actually stated that if we get these companies, these big oil fat cats, to trade openly in the oil futures market, above board, kind of like playing a blackjack hand with the cards up, we will lower the price of oil. The barrel of oil will go down to under 40, actually right around $50 to $60 a barrel, as opposed to what it is today. That's a major, major improvement. We're going to see drops of $1 to $2 a gallon when we do this. That's one thing that we're going to do. And unlike the Democrats and Republicans, I support environmental ethically built oil drilling rigs onshore. Not offshore, a mile out and a mile deep, but onshore. Right there on the coast, or near the coast, or even in North Dakota, where we can create a tremendous amount of fuel from the oil generated in the Green River Valley. Or is it the Red River Valley? Sorry, the Red River Valley in North Dakota. There's a place called the Balkan Oil Fields, which is a huge amount of oil. Now, I started this little segment talking about oil and talking about how they just discovered $20 trillion worth of potential oil in Australia. Well, that's something that's going on all over the place. It's happening everywhere. There's oil in the ground, folks. I'm not like Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm trying to spout the truth here. We're not too worried about oil disappearing. The big problem we have is the pollution, the lack of good conservative use of that oil, and renewable energy solutions which can lower our use of oil. Yes, oil's there, but we don't have to leverage totally on oil, and we don't have to pollute the planet. Clearly, we can do a lot more in filtering the air we breathe, in cleaning the water we drink, and ultimately we can provide a fantastic, cleaner environment for our kids and our future kids to come. Now, there are other areas where we are way ahead of the two-party system. We are in favor of a modern, meltdown-proof nuclear reactor built in America. Now, this Pebble technology, it's called Pebble technology. You can look it up. It's all about creating meltdown-proof nuclear reactors that are completely greenhouse gas free. This is a way we're going to produce greenhouse gas free energy to integrate into the grid and lower our reliance on fossil fuel. We're not forgetting our responsibilities and the mandate of the people that did want that in previous elections. Unlike Obama, I'm not owned. I'm not a puppet. I can do what the American people need and innovate and get things rolling, but I need the power of the presidency to do it. And that's why I am running for president, because I'm spearheading countless innovations that need the clout of the presidency to pull off. And we've got a lot of things on our website that I'm sure you'll like to read about, like our maglev renewable energy idea, where we create a maglev rail on a pay-as-you-go plan, where we build it slowly over time and it pays for itself by generating electricity. We've got other ideas we talk about on our featured Technology Thursday show, which profile a lot of new ideas that are really quite amazing. vertical windmills that could be installed on telephone poles around the country, solar rooftops that could roll out like carpeting on everybody's house facing the south. These are revolutionary ideas that could very well create millions of jobs in America. And I think the most important reason why I don't want you to vote for a Republican or a Democrat in the upcoming election, the most important reason is those two parties have embraced globalization, and we don't embrace globalization. We admit we have a lot of trading going on with China and India and other countries, but we don't embrace it. We want our nation to become more of a regionalized profit center for the people in America. We want to bring back what I call an infrastructure bank that will offer 2% loans directly to U.S. businesses that hire U.S. employees at a living wage. This bypasses the tax credit for outsourcing. It works around Congress. And I can open up that infrastructure bank out of the executive branch if necessary. We can work with the Treasury to establish a discount window to the U.S. public. This is a way we could even create micro loans for people up to $1,000 through that same discount window, where our government could actually loan directly to you, and if you pay it back, great. If you don't, you just don't make another loan with the government. You become a bad credit risk with the government. You don't want to do that. So these are ideas that are very new, very fresh, and all on our website, and can ultimately supply our nation with the solutions necessary to solve this economic downturn. That's right. When oil is extracted, America would become the world's biggest oil source, exceeding Saudi Arabia's proven reserves of 261 billion barrels. Right, Tiger Bunny? And I want to reiterate that many people in the past have talked about the fact that Saudi Arabia is losing oil. There's a book called Twilight in the Desert that you might want to read, written by Matthew Simmons. Very good book. I believe that Saudi Arabia is running out of oil. I believe our country needs to move forward and become a producer. And I think we can do it environmentally sound ways, so we can protect the environment when we do it. I don't believe Obama has cleaned up the Gulf of Mexico. I think we've got a lot of problems in that area. I'm not forgetting about any of these ideas. I'm trying to address as many as possible. We also have a huge problem with the nuclear spent fuel rods all around the country. We've got 104 nuclear reactors, and not one single mention of it by Obama about all the spent fuel rods. Instead of directing them to Yucca Flats, where there was a repository built, Obama stopped that whole process, and now we've got a danger of these nuclear spent fuel rods leaking, okay? We've got 160 million gallons of nuclear fuel and spent fuel rod activity up in the Hannaford Nuclear Waste Depository in Washington. Our Democratic governor currently was shocked to find out that they were leaking. Well, this information has been available in the news for the past 5 years, but he recently became governor, this guy. I'm not going to give you his name because he's irrelevant at this point. He is shocked, and he's trying to figure out how he's going to deal with this. Well, this problem has been exacerbated by the fact that Obama turned down a shipment of a huge amount of nuclear waste that had been turned into glass through glassification. It was going to be sent to the Yucca Flats. He turned down that. So our Democratic governor in Washington should contact the White House and get answers there for the leaks going on at the Hannaford Nuclear Waste Depository. Let's talk about how we're going to solve the spent fuel rod problem, and I think it's important. And I'll wrap up with that. There's a lot of energy left in those spent fuel rods. They can be used to create electricity around the country for years to come. We can get rid of as much as 97%. Yes, we can. 97% of the nuclear waste in those fuel rods. We can make this happen. And we can also build what are called fast breeder reactors in America. They've got them in Paris. They work. They get rid of 97% of the fuel, yet they create energy. So let's get back to what a sensible plan will be, which will create at least one fast breeder reactor. Bring on the Integral Fast Reactor program that was shut down by Bill Clinton. These Democrats have been killing our country, literally destroying it. And the Republicans are no better. They're a party without any new ideas. So clearly we need a brand new political party, and yes, I may have to do another blackface rap demo. Yes. And I've said if I don't get any mainstream media attention by 2015, I will bring back and deploy a new blackface video. an impersonation of Barack Obama in blackface. Yeah, I've done one already, and it's still sitting out there, folks, but I'm prepared to do a series of them if necessary. I'm not going to sit back as an average American and watch this nation getting squandered by rich industrial pigs, multinational corporations, and a nation of congressmen and women that are on the take just to get reelected. That's what I'm after. I'm trying to stop the corruption and clean our country up simply by creating a third party, and I think it can be done. Thank you for listening, and check out our show on Monday. Conspiracy Monday is always interesting, and we ask the tough questions you don't hear in the mainstream media. We ask the questions that are literally at the tip of your tongue that you can't even talk about on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, or Fox. All right, everybody, take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow or whenever you're back into our show. Take care.